Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about episode 2 of season 4 of Killing Eve. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, first and foremost, obviously we have Eve tracking down Helen, and I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. I'm like, Eve wasn't the most stealthiest. Well, maybe she was. Because eventually, jumping around, Helen ended up finding the tampon tracker because it's like, right, it's not the right type that she uses. But I guess, she has picked up a few things or two. It also seems like Yusef has also been training her too, so maybe it kind of plays into that a little bit of like, right, he's kind of prepared her for this, but she ended up putting a tracker on her, and now they know at least where her home is. I think it was like, well, at the very least, they found her in Paris. I don't know if that's like one of her homes or that is her home. It seemed like it might actually be her home because we do find out she has a daughter. So I guess just unraveling more about her, just like you do like Constantine finding out about him having his daughter, Irina, and how much of a kind of an asshole she is. But who knows 100% why Eve does what she does. The sense that Eve wants to just knock on Helen's door where Yusuf is like, no, don't do that. That's not the smartest thing to do. And even at one point in time when they're out having dinner, and it's like, oh, she's not eating the steak, and I love that his back is turned, and she takes the knife, and he's like, did you just take this steak knife? And she's like, no. Let me see your purse. She's like, no. And it just like looks, and it's like, okay. And you normally see him very like, okay, we'll go for, yeah, he gives her pushback on what she does sometimes, but you never see him get as angry as he got at the dinner table. He was just like, you want to go ahead and do this, you want to do that, that's fine and everything. Like, I get it. You want to go like full, like you want to die in the process of killing the 12. I get it. I 100% understand that, but truth be told is you do this, you are not going to even get close to accomplishing what you want. You're just going to end up dead because of it. Because they have this arrangement that it's super casual. It's nothing too serious and stuff like that. They even joked about it when he was like, oh, I got us tickets, and she tears him up. He's like, no, I was joking with you. We're going to Paris because that's where she's at. But he is he tries to give her enough leeway because he knows if he gets too much of a stranglehold on her, like, that sounds wrong to say in an intimate sense. If he holds on too tight, he knows it's going to freak her out. Because that's kind of where, like, her and Nico had their issues. Is, like, Nico, the way she operates, it wasn't conducive with what Nico wanted and who Nico was. So maybe he's trying to learn from that mistake and try not to be that and try to be what she wants. Try to meet her halfway as she's going through all of this. But she ended up trying to get a second opinion from someone, so she goes to, like, the psychiatrist, who's like, oh yeah, like, I got a meeting with a cannibal, and I love that being the title of the episode, don't get eaten. But it's like, right, like, when you're trying to meet someone, like, it's like, right, Helen wants a challenge, so I should challenge her, and it's like, yeah, but the thing is, like, when it comes to the dynamic, because the dynamic is, right, when I want something from one of my patients or something like that, first and foremost, my whole thing is, like, trying to help them, and Eve's almost like, sure, yeah, go on, but it's, yeah, like, I give them what they want, or at least I perceive to give them what they want, and they give me what I want / need from them, so she plans to do the same thing to Helen. It's like, oh, I'm going to challenge her. But it's like, yeah, it might not be the smartest thing. Might kind of get you in trouble. He's like, at the very least, I have years of experience. I have guards. I have everything in line to protect me if anything goes sideways. So I have that buffer zone where it's like, if you do what you're planning on doing, which he doesn't know the full details, it's like, still, you could end up getting yourself hurt. So she got her second opinion about the whole situation. But I love that he's asking about Villanelle. And it's like, how's Villanelle? It's like, she's Christian now. And now she actually asked him, like, is this real? Because I guess there was a part of her that was curious, like, is Villanelle actually trying? Like, could this actually be real? And he's like, yes, but the problem is, it's more so, this sudden change like this is just about avoidance. This sudden change in personality is all about avoidance. And yes, it is. She's just trying to find a quick, easy solution, like she has time and time again. And the argument could be, isn't Eve doing the exact same thing? Because they've always been kind of mirror images to each other over the course of the series. So I think the same argument could be, like, is Eve really a different person, or is she just avoiding dealing with stuff? But I don't know. I think an argument could be made about that. But it's like, yeah, Villanelle, like, once again, most recent example being she was in a relationship, she got engaged. That was her way to avoid the whole Eve situation. But she immediately perked up and was happy the moment she found out Eve was actually alive. It was like, oh my god, thank God. Almost like the May thing. Oh, thank God I didn't kill you. Or maybe it was more so like, wow, you survived. I'm happy, you know? It's like, oh, I'm glad that you're actually still alive. Like, we can still do our cat and mouse thing. But despite the warnings, she sneaks away from Yusef, and Eve goes and confronts Helen. And it's like, oh, like, even Helen, like, had a knife ready for her. Because I think it's so interesting because Helen made an announcement, a declaration, like, last season being like, oh, like, because Villanelle's like, oh, I would have killed you. And Helen's like, man, you would never have the chance because I would kill you before you had a chance to kill me. I just love Villanelle's response was, oh, God, you're sexy. But it's like, yeah, like, even if Eve came with her steak knife, it wouldn't. It's like, no, Helen is a trained enough killer. You wouldn't think so. You think she's just a head honcho, but turns out she's the one killing all the members of the 12. Now, whether that's just because, oh, I'm going to kill them before they kill me, just because I failed and, like, Villanelle's failures fall on me, maybe. Maybe because she's the one that kind of gave Villanelle chance after chance, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of blown up our faces, or it's just a pure grab for power, like, get rid of the competition, cut the head off the snake so that I can get, or maybe that's always been her thing of like, oh, I'm going to infiltrate you just. It seems, I mean, we have no idea how long it took her to infiltrate and how long she's really been a part of the 12 before she started, like, potentially picking them off. But I love that Eve came in there and starts trying to prepare her food. And it's like, oh, what are you preparing me? And it's like shepherd's pie. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, were you going to make specifically Nico's shepherd's pie? I'm assuming so. And I think it's because of her experience with Villanelle that actually properly prepared her for that. Because it's like, right, when she knows what it's like to be in the lion's den, because she's been around the lioness so much that, you know, she's a little prepared. But to be fair, Helen's kind of a whole other beast. And was it this or was it something else I was watching? I think it was this, where the whole conversation came up about, like, right, have they been tortured? It's like, oh no, they've been flayed. Like, it's like literal strips were removed from these people. And then I was like, oh, she's thorough then. If I'm not confusing, that's the problem when I'm watching so much stuff at once. I kind of like start blurring lines together about what was what. But I'm pretty sure that's what they were saying about Helen in the first episode of the season. Well, the person that was killing these potential 12 members. But like that whole scene where she basically has Eve's hand on the stove and just like has the stove on. It's like, oh, does it hurt? It's like, nah, if I don't let it. I was like, ooh, Eve going on badass in this moment. She, until her hand comes off and it is like, now I feel it. I was like, wow. I wonder what Yusef's going to say about that. I guess it worked out in the end because Helen let you go. Because it's like, cool, I'll let you know like what I'm really up to after dessert. And then Eve's still asking, like, oh, who's at the top? And it's like, I'll leave that for you to figure out. And then she's like, okay. And she kind of pushes her daughter off of her and walks away. And it's like, oh, what are you going to do? It's like, oh, you'll have to find out after dessert. And you can see the look on Helen's face. She was like, she really likes Eve. She's taking a liking to Eve. And I think it's probably like, oh, kind of see why Villanelle's always been so obsessed with you. So that kind of worked out in the long run. But it's like, yeah, let's work together in this. We both want the same thing. We want to cut off the head of the dragon. So that's going to be interesting. And once again, it's like, I think it also feeds into the point of like, right, you're saying that you're a different person, that, you're jumping down Villanelle's throat for being like, oh, she's not a different person, which technically she's not. Despite her trying. Same thing for Eve, despite her attempts in the past and her attempts now, she moved on to a new psychopath. She's trying to fill that Villanelle hole in her heart with just someone else. I mean, yes, it's also because it's a means to an end, but it's like, I think you're just finding any reason to justify it. Like, she's that new person in your life. You feel that spark with her. It doesn't come with all the complicated baggage like it does with Villanelle. There's too much history there. I said that weird. Too much history there, unlike with Helen, she's kind of a blank slate, so maybe you're kind of getting your rocks off a little bit. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Another element to this episode is the whole Carolyn thing. Obviously, she ends up having to betray people she knows for the sake of working with Vlad, because just like Eve, she's willing to go to any lengths if it means getting the information, because she's already kind of out with MI6, so like there's no getting help on that front. Just, it's like, what's the point? So goes to Russia, who has like, they will, as long as I sell out people I know, it's going to work out in the end. And I love that one of the people she sells out is Hugo, which is like, yeah, egotistical guy that's super easy for a honey trap. And even later on, Vlad's like, yeah, that honey trap thing worked super well with him. Because now Carolyn's like, right, they're not really going to jump too quickly on having Carolyn back. It's like, well, you're kind of a rat, you defected, so we don't. And she's like, right, but my information will be useful, and you'll help me find the one who ordered Kenny's death. And it's like, okay. And then she goes to her room, and it's like, oh, cool, a rat for a rat. And once again, Carolyn always makes it seem like nothing shakes her when it does. The whole Kenny thing shook her, but she always put up a front like it didn't, because she can compartmentalize. She's also like, the way she handles stuff isn't like a typical person. I shouldn't say normal, but like typically her responses aren't associated with what a majority of people's response would be. So once again, just casually getting the glasses and stuff and going to talk to Vlad, and he's saying like her information partially paid off, because the second person she sold off, the one with a donkey birthmark on the arse on their arse, that person sadly killed themselves because they were pushed into a corner, and it's like that was their way to kind of, and he's like, yeah, luckily her children weren't there, but it's like, yeah, they either pushed her a little too hard, or she was just in a fragile enough state that was just it could have been either or with that situation. And Carolyn's just kind of like, yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is. Just order me the bill. I'll be in the bathroom. And she's in front of the mirror, and she's shaking because it's like, right. I'm sure her hanging herself probably triggers something in her. Well, for one, it's like, right, now I'm responsible for killing someone in my pursuit to find out who killed responsible for my son's death, because you kind of already know how that all played out from Constantine. But in her vendetta and search for that, she cost someone else their lives. And I was like, yeah, this is directly your fault because you sold them out, and now they ended up killing themselves because they were blackmailed. Two, like a suicide thing probably like hits a little raw because of the whole Kenny thing. Yes, he didn't commit suicide, he just fell, but I don't know. I'm sure, it's like, right, now you've robbed some kids of their mother, just like you were trying to rob of your son. So I don't know. Like, it's one of those moments where you do see it fully break through. No matter what she's trying, it's still seeping through of like how she really feels about it. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see where that goes. And then finally, we had the whole Villanelle thing. She's on kind of like a retreat with Phil and May and them, and so it comes down to this whole. She's trying to, like, get May to, like, accept her apology. And everyone's, like, shipped off to different, like, tents and stuff. You're supposed to bunk together, but Phil, on purpose, made Nell have one by herself, and he's just kind of smug about it. And I love that we answer the whole thing. It's like, right, Jesus is like, right, people look different. I look different to different people. So it doesn't make sense why I look and sound like you, but I'm you in drag. And then Villanelle's like, yes, and almost like, yes, it makes perfect sense. It's like, okay then. So once again, the only way you're going to be able to get the vicar, Phil, off of your back is if you get the daughter on your side. So what does Villanelle do? She tries to fix it all with a Band-Aid, which, like a Band-Aid, if you're picking at the wound, it's eventually going to start bleeding again. And so the problem is she was able to kind of repair things a little bit. The thing is she didn't give it enough time to but it's like she's desperate. She needs immediate results. So she goes to May, she apologizes to May, and it's like, I've done bad things, but the fact is I didn't kill you. It's proof. It's showing that I've made progress. Like, it's like, yeah, but you tried to kill me. He's like, yeah, but I didn't kill you. That speaks volume. Like, if you knew who I was, you would actually be like, oh my God, Villanelle, that'd be progress. Which makes sense, but still, once again, you shouldn't have been in a position to try and kill her in the first place. It's like, you're so desperate to be like, I'm not that person anymore. I can be good. I am good. But she was able to get May on her side, so it worked out. sat, because her dad knew something was up, just not sure what it was, but knew it had something to do with Nell. I mean, he already didn't like Nell being around May so much. That's why I didn't even like her living in the same place, because he feels something was off about her, but May kind of saw the good in her, so. But ultimately, May ended up telling her Phil's secret. Phil's secret is that he always said that May's mom, Mary, died in a car accident. He always leaves out the part where, hey, he was drunk and he was drunk driving, and that's why mom ended up dying. And so, in a game of, what was that? Guess who? I don't, I was like, oh, like, who am I? And then, like, it's like, oh, you're Hitler. Oh, ha 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 ha. And, like, it was Phil who did that. Like, once again, it's just like, if they hadn't done that game, I wonder would Villanelle have ever done what she did. Because in her mind, it was just like, oh, he took it there. Like he's trying to make a commentary on me, trying to conflate me to Hitler. It's like, yeah, I see what you're doing there. So it's like, cool, this is Bible themed, and you're thinking like, oh, well, it's like, he wrote Mary, so you're like, well, I could see that, but but she's like, oh, no, we're not going to be subtle. Did I say Bible themed? I meant Phil themed. And I love that he's like, oh, is it our old cat? Which I'm like, is that I'm assuming he's referencing Lucifer, because I didn't talk about it last episode, but like, right, when she accidentally killed Lucifer and buried him. So I'm assuming that's who he was referencing when he was like, our old cat. Kind of another little dig at Villanelle. And it's like, no, I'm the person that died unlawfully. And he was like, I don't know anyone like that. And she's like, oh, think about it. Yes, you do. Someone that died unlawfully. And was like, Mary, your wife who you killed when you were drunk driving. Because it was also her way to stick it to him. It's like, right, this guy has the audacity to judge me. Yes, I've done terrible things, but I'm willing to change. I am changing him. He's a fraud. He's pretending. It's like, yeah, but it's a pot calling a kettle black. The fact is, you want to call him out for the terrible things he's done because you're projecting, because it's like, right, he kind of sees you for who you are, and you don't appreciate that because everyone sees him and gets to love him. He gets to act better than you, when in her mind, it's like, you made him that's the thing. He made a mistake. It still haunts him, but it's like, right, you get to live every day like everything's fine, and I get like the heat, like, and she's kind of gloating and rubbing it in his face. No one else in the circle is happy about it. So she goes back, and, Jesus is like, right, probably shouldn't have handled it that way, but doesn't matter, my child. You're a work in progress. It's fine. At the end of the day, you expose evil. Like, I didn't even have to handle it, because I love that she's like, right, if you go against me, I'll smite you. But it's like, yeah, but truth be told is, I didn't have to get involved. You unveiled his treachery, his evil to the whole people, and they're all going to love you. Goes back out, they're expecting the glory and praise, and it's like, no, he made mistakes. Barbara's like, we've always known you were a little off. And it's like, no one cares what you think, Barbara. And I love someone's like, I do. But it's like, yeah. The fact is, he may have done something terrible in the past, but what it's about is what he is now. And Villanelle's like, yeah, what about me? Like, I won this certain thing every week. It's like, yeah, because that's something you made up. So of course you're going to win it every week. It's like, get out of here. And it's like, in that moment, yet again, another group of people that's turned her away. She literally has no one. She doesn't have the 12. She doesn't have Constantine. She doesn't have Eve. And now she doesn't have this. She doesn't have a family to go back to. Well, you have 2 brothers, but granted, you killed the rest of the family. So that kind of puts a little to that. So probably can't come back to them because you're afraid how they'll look and react to you. So she has no one. And it's like, she's feeling this void inside of her with all this religious stuff. And it's like, right, they were supposed to love me, but they don't. And then later on, she hears May and Phil talking, and May's like, right, I don't think anyone could ever love her. Those words are a major trigger for her. So she has like a spike stake or whatever, and like a mallet, and proceeds to murder both Phil and May. I was wondering, like, are you going to go around the entire camp and kill everybody? But it's like, no. She goes to talk to Jesus, and it's like, oh, you almost had me fooled. And, like, proceeds to crucify, like, this version of herself. So that's why I'm like, I don't know how to interpret that. Whether that's supposed to be like it's like, right, I never had a chance, did I? It's like, nope, you never stood a chance. Like, this was never going to work out. I kind of dragged you along. I don't know whether that's supposed to be representative of, oh, I'm not actually Jesus. I am just a version of you pretending to be Jesus to string you along, but you were never going to make it. Or it is Jesus being like, nah, I'm kind of like, or is it supposed to be like Jesus saying like, nah, I'm having fun with you. You were never going to make it. I strung you along trying to act like you had a chance, but you never did. I feel maybe it could be one or the other. Feels like it could easily be both, but it's like, yeah. After trying to kill herself, like, well, this version of herself, she walks away. Once again, I was like, because Jesus is like, the Villanelle Jesus is like, oh, finish it. And it's like, nope. And she just walks away. So it's like, yeah, her attempt to change didn't work out. And granted, no one in the group really knows enough about her to be like, oh, the moment May and Phil show up dead, it's like, well, brutally murdered. You know, who's going... Once again, I'm kind of surprised she didn't kill everyone else, but... I think just killing them was enough because they were the ones that, like, it's just, right, I try my best and you guys still see me as this monster. It's sad. You can't fight what you've become. It's so ingrained in you, so deep. Once again, you weren't properly dealing with things. You were avoiding things like you have been for a while, so... You actually kind of feel bad for Villanelle at the same time. I mean, doesn't justify it, but it's like, right, this is a character that's super messed up and was forged into this monster and kind of didn't want to be that monster anymore. But once again, she was trying to find a shortcut to being a good person, to changing. And it's like, the question is like, you didn't want to put in the time, like, I don't think you put in the time and the work to actually be a good person. You just played the role of what a good person would be. You fake it long enough, it becomes real. That's what her whole job has been about, pretending. And once you pretend long enough, it becomes second nature to you. But that second nature is there, and it's not going to be that easy to break that cycle of who you are. So, what's next for Villanelle after this? We'll have to see. Like I said, after this, she has nothing and no one, really. So, what that means for... Probably not a good situation for anyone with a Villanelle just out there lost and with nothing. Probably don't want her in that current mindset. We'll see. I'm assuming with just some of the promotional material I saw, eventually Eve will reach out to her and it's like, right, while you're at your lowest, I could use your help dealing with the whole Helene thing. Like, obviously, bringing her more into the fold about this, or maybe there's going to be later points in the story that involves her bringing Villanelle in. We'll see how... Their stories are all, like... Especially Villanelle's is so separate right now, but obviously Carolyn and Eve are after the same thing. They're just going about it different ways to get to it. But also, like, I think Villanelle's story will eventually drag back over there because she's almost rubber banding or yo-yoing. It's like, oh, I stretched all the way over here and bam, I get brought back. So, we'll see. I'm excited to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good